technology is always a solution in the crisis. So technology will be really handy. There are multiple areas in which this technology would be adopted. One area is in the conduction of admission tests, the learning space.
For online education to really become mainstream and enroll, millions of students rather than hundreds of thousands of students, we need to have online degrees that are accredited by the various agencies.
My message to all the students and the higher education stakeholders is we need to double our efforts in this time in order to sustain and keep our economy afloat.
In India, we have to look at technology and education 4.0 as actually providing education to the uneducated, people who are not getting quality education.
Education 3.0 was nothing but technology driven. This is now going to be a permanent feature and is now going to figure in all the teaching learning activities of times to come.
Good evening, guys. This is Tarun here. I'm from Collegedunia. I'll be the moderator for today's discussion. Welcome to yet another Collegedunia Connect chapter. And as we all know, new education policy has been approved by the government and it is now the talk of the town. So today's discussion will be centrally revolving around this new education policy and how it's changing the future of education in India. Today we have a panel. We have 4 esteemed panelists with us. I'll start introducing one by one. Dr. S. Venkata Seshaiah. So he's a professor, director at ICFAI Business School, Hyderabad. He's also the Pro-Chancellor of ICFAI Foundation of Higher Education. Prior to joining IBS, he was associated with BITS Pilani, Rajasthan, as a faculty member of Department of Economics, and also with Shiva Shivani Institute of Management, and also with Kirloskar Institute of Advanced Management Studies. Welcome on board, sir. It's good having you here. Then we have Dr. S. Jeyavelu. Dr. S. Jeyavelu has a vast experience in teaching organizational design, theory, creativity, organizational behavior, leadership, etc. to students and executives. He has been teaching regularly PGP MBA to PGP Executive MBA as well as Management Development programs in IIM Kozhikode. He's been teaching from 2004. His creativity workshops were the highest revenue generators for IIMK. Welcome on board, sir. It's good having you. Then we have Dr. P. Thompson, Thomas P. John. Dr. Thomas P. John is the chairman of T. John Group of Institutions. He is an MBBS doctor and also has completed his additional academic programs from ISB Hyderabad, IIT Delhi, IIM Bangalore and also Berlin University. He set up T. John College in 1993 and has seen it grow immensely since then. He's also done many hats as a political leader. Dr. T. John devotes most of his time to life enhancement by mind engineering. He's the founder and president of Mind Magic Academy. Sir, it's nice having you today, sir. We have Dr. H.L. Vijay Kumar. Vijay Kumar is the director principal of Vogue Institute Art and Design. He has 39 years of profound experience in teaching, administration, research and development. A seasoned professional, Dr. Kumar has proved his expertise in successfully growing institutes by introducing courses that stood out in designing curriculum, building the right ecosystem for students to gain knowledge and industry exposure. So it's nice having you here today, sir. So today, as I said, we'll be discussing about the NEP and the future of education based on this. So we'll have your opening remark. Dr. Venkata Seshaiah, sir, can you start off, sir, with your opening remarks?
Good evening to all. I think this is a good topic to discuss. I'll try to explain, keeping the previous policy in mind and the current policy in mind, then how it is going to transform the education sector, especially the new education policy I'll try to explain. I'll just introduce some concepts called 3R. Read, repeat, reproduce. That was the model which the previous policy has adopted. And that is the reason why in policy also they have mentioned that memory power examinations should not be conducted. Simply read, repeat, reproduce. That was the model which the previous policy adopted. Barring few education institutes, most of the education institutes follow this particular approach. Similarly, because of this particular model, the people also face the problem of 3I: initiation, inertia, inability. These are the 3I problem. Hence, that has led to the problems related to content, clarity, communication, conviction, confidence, creativity. 6 C's. These were the problems which the previous policy mostly concentrated. Then now, if you come to the current national NEP education policy, rather, see, if you look at the policy, whatever that has been mentioned, for this particular VUCA world, it's completely apt, volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. Of course, let's see today, we have to consider it as a corona also, which is worse than the concept of recession, depression, whatever economics people talk. But this is the most, I also say, complex as well as the corona. In corona period, and looking at the globe education practices, the current policy is apt. In fact, it has followed the UNESCO approach. 5 principles of education. One is learning to know. Second one is learning to be, learning live together, learning to do, learning to transform oneself and society. These are the 5 principles which largely, if you go through the entire policy, we'll find these particular approaches. This helps in terms of the faculty members will have, rather the teachers will have complete academic freedom as per the policy. Hence, if you talk about the Arizona State University, they have some 4 principles in terms of 4 trends in education. One, they talk about the laser-like focus on students, innovation, professional development, courageous decisions. Since that multidisciplinary approach is there, and definitely these 4 things are going to be inculcated among student population. Since the academic freedom is there and multidisciplinary approach, the concept of this academic bank credit transfer is going to create a larger learning outcomes to the students. Hence, earlier only the management students used to think about brand storytelling, time management, team management, and versatility. Today, because of this particular education policy, best example is Thomas sir, the MBBS person doing ISB, some degrees are. This is the best example for multidisciplinary approach. The way how he all the degrees that he has done. I think this is going to happen. This is going to happen even, see, somebody joins in BCom and he would like to learn some physics course also, though it has nothing to do with that. So this particular multidisciplinary approach helps that particular students to learn this approach also. And see, entire policy should concentrate on program goals. That's more important. Then they have to create, for example, it talks about concepts, communication, creativity, soft skills, multidisciplinary courses, academic freedom, all kinds of things are there. So hence this particular policy is going to really transform the education system, and this will help the entire Indian students to have the lifelong learning, and they will become the lifelong resources rather than becoming limited reservoirs. But only issue is equity. Haves and have-nots problem may be there. Who is going to have this kind of things? Then the second one is accessibility is another issue. Third one is the transparency is the another issue. And development the faculty members itself is another issue. So see, when we are talking about the multidisciplinary approach among students, the faculty also should develop particular multidisciplinary knowledge, multidisciplinary approach. They should be in a position to have knowledge. And hence, I think the another important thing is research skills. This also will help by introducing the 4 years programs, research skills and entering into PhD program. And all aspects is good. As far as me is concerned, all the policies are good, whether it is previous policy, current policy. system will not hurt the
It's
people.
no, there are four titles, Dr. Jeyavelu cameras, but I could not see the faces, except I could able to see only my face.
Yeah, so thank you so much. That's very insightful, actually. And you're absolutely right, too. When it comes to faculty, it's quite difficult even for them. Anyway, Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, your opening remarks about your about the NEP, sir.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks, Dr. Seshaiah, for setting the context. And I think we are very excited about the NEP. And a couple of things which I'm really excited about is the multidisciplinary degrees, the academic credit bank, and also there's a statement that NRF is meant for both public and private institutions. And these multidisciplinary degrees and the academic credit bank and the common entrance exam that is proposed is likely to change the way we are looking at higher education in the country today. If you look at the proposed changes, the institutions and the mechanisms, these are all path-breaking, and there is nothing else that we could have asked for. The challenges are going to be in creating the new institutions and the mechanisms that will help in the coordination and collaboration between the institutions. So this I look forward, and one of the interesting things about this multidisciplinary degrees that the NEP has proposed is rather than sticking to the American model, and they have looked at the Indian way of looking at holistic development. How do you prepare a child to face the adult life in terms of the various arts? So even science is considered as an art in the Indian traditional thought. The various arts that a child has to learn to be a adult and take on the responsibilities of the adult world. And I think that is very pioneering, and the kind of problems that liberal arts education has been kind of criticized for in the American education system, this will take care of it, and the government and there is nothing else we could have asked for. But at the same time, the NEP also seems to have taken a stand. It's more pro government institutions.
Dr. Thomas, sir, your opinion on education policies, your opening remarks.
Yeah, I think it's a very good initiative for the government of India, because for a long time, though there were a lot of reforms which had taken place in various other sectors like aviation, insurance, banking, but the education sector, especially the higher education sector, was largely left untouched. And I believe that probably it should have been the first thing to have been done, because all these sectors which require trained manpower will have to be done from the that is available with us. And for that, I think it is a good time that it has been initiated. And especially the new system where in the higher education students can opt for various forms of qualification, the ones where they can opt for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then or the 4 years, and for every year that they complete, they will be given either a certification, diploma, or degree. And I think this is very important because, as you all know, there's a large number of dropouts in higher education where they are unable to fulfill the criteria and go up to the final 3rd or 4th year of their degree programs.
This is one of the best efforts made by the Government of India to implement a uniform education policy as a new education policy. The most important thing is the efforts made by the Government of India in doing in implementing the policy, that actually in accepting the policy by the Dr. Kasturingam committee and also the team of experts from last 3-4 years. The only what I had seen is actually implementation of the policy uniformly across the country, because Indian education system is quite different, and also it is evolved from so many years. And the new education policy, particularly higher education policy, when we have different discipline, different university system, different controlling systems, and bringing everything into the controlling authority and creating awareness is the most important challenging thing. Reason is very simple. The committees which have formed the new policy and also the implementers will be changing repeatedly. That's what I had seen in many of the university system of education also. As the implementer changes, whole system goes into fix. And still, I don't know. Another 30, they have given this whole new education policy takes another 10 years to implement, particularly higher education system. It is going to be a very, very challenging thing. And there are 3 or 4 stakeholders where we have to bring them in line. One is the management, second one is the teachers, third one is the students, fourth is the industry. All 4 has to come together and implement this and accept this and implement in a befitting manner. Therefore, uniform education policy and quality of education, quality of output will be better.
Very well said, sir. Very well said.
Yeah.
Sir, as we all know, the government has been talking about increasing the budgetary allocation for the education sector in NEP, sir. So, what do you think the impact of this would be on the education sector, sir?
See, when it comes to budgeting, we have different system of education in India. For example, Indian education system, if you see, majority of the institutes are controlled by the private management. That is the major contributor of the development of education in India.
Yes.
When it comes to the private management, how this allocation will transformed into the education system, or particularly the thing, I've seen that money can be given to research, money can be given to some other activity like socially weakened section, but how the money will transform into the infrastructure development, that is the most important thing. Because as when we have a tie-up with industry also demand this to meet the requirement. These are the technologies to be implemented. And also, I've seen the education policy, they are going to have a cap on fee structure. Everything will be controlled, monitored, and normally, when these things started, everything will be under the government, and private management cannot implement the requirement. This is going to be a major challenge. Till the government work out the policy or the framework, how the money can be distributed to the private institutions, whether it can be done or not, I don't know. This is the most challenging thing. We have to wait for a few years. And yesterday, webinar on FICCI, they told that few new guidelines will be coming out by next month end. Next month, they are going to upload in a public domain. Therefore, feedback can be taken. Then only we can see how it can reach us the private institutions. Normally, government institution may not be a problem. Our government universities may not be a problem. Problem is the private institution where it is run by private management.
Yes, sir. That is true, sir. I think only time will tell us what will happen in that area. Dr. Jeyavelu, your opinion on this, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, I concur with Dr. Vijay Kumar, and one should not, kind of dismiss the contribution by private players to the education in the country. And last 30 years, it's well documented the kind of numbers that has come up and so on. I'd like to just bring in what we see. So you look at MBA education and look at the top tier institutions, the kind of fees that IIMs charge today, and these are public funded institutions which are set up by the government with huge funds, and then they are charging huge amounts of fees. Is there any comparison with the kind of resources that a private player can bring in? It is going to be a major issue. And then this is something the government has to be clear in terms of what is the return on investment in public institutions or private institutions.
Perfect, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, sir, do you think these recommendations by NEP, how critical do you think will be for the education industry in India, sir?
See, one is being an economics person. I strongly believe that a kind of perfect competition is going to take place in the education industry, since the policy is talking on homogeneous policy, homogeneous thing. But only issue arises is in my opening remarks, I clearly told how far faculty is developed and equipped towards accepting these particular policies. One is a multidisciplinary approach. Second one is, if you look at the entire policy, I strongly believe that this particular policy, if it is implemented properly, for first question, whatever you asked, I concur with them. But it's going to help approach, teaching, research, institutional development, community development, and knowledge sharing. Teaching styles, storytelling kind of things are going to come, where the student will have an option to learn the storytelling and research. Research, what kind of research is not defined. Whether it has to go for a traditional research, accepting whatever the results they get and talking only on the things, or modern research, it has to go. These are all the things should be discussed. Though investment will be there in the competition, whomsoever compete and does the things well, those institutes will have a life. Then the community development, but the institutional development in the form of innovations, these kind of things. See, though we talk about entrepreneur development, innovation cells, all kinds of things, but how far that is going to be successful? What kind of training should be given? These are all the issues, challenging issues are there. Then community development. The universities or higher education sectors are meant for doing some kind of community development. That's one is within the system, faculty community. How are you going to train them? How are you going to equip their skills to meet the new demand? Then the student community. Is it just teaching alone? Whether it has to go for introducing some more things to impart the creativity kind of thing and time management, theme management kind of thing, what kind of things that should be implemented there? That is the issue to be discussed well. Then the knowledge sharing. How that knowledge sharing? See, here it is talking about local content and global content. How much local content, how much... hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these things should be answered first. But if it is implemented properly, I think we can see modern education system in India where that multidisciplinary approach and everything will help the country to develop whatever the government is talking about, 5Ts or 6Ts, whatever that is there.
That's right, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Thomas, sir, having an MBBS background, do you think giving flexibility in terms of multidisciplinary courses is a boon or a bane to students? What do you think about it, sir?
No, it is definitely a boon for students because there are many instances where students would like to take two extreme kinds of subjects for their study, and then they will be able to really realize what exactly they want to do. Sometimes they want to learn biology with the music as another subject, and by the time they come to the second or third year, they realize that they are better off with music than biology. So I think this is a very good option that is being given to students, and the real talent in them will come out with these kind of options that are now we have compartmentalized to them the subjects that they are supposed to take, and I think that with the world becoming more freer and freer, it should be available to the students to take up the different subjects that they think that they should be doing. And in terms of the ability for them to cope up with these things, yes, man can cope up with anything. He can go to moon, so he can do anything else.
Well said, sir. Dr. Vijay Kumar, so what do you think about the multidisciplinary choice that they've given to students, sir?
Is it a boon or the bane?
Yes, sir.
As of now, if I see because I completed, 40 years of my service in the education field, in the present situation, immediately if you implement this, it is a bane to the student. After 10 years, definitely when the student gets reformed, parents get reformed, the mindset gets changed, it to certain level of students, it may be a boon in the coming years. Reason is very simple. This concept is already implemented in some of the developed countries, where a engineering graduate, I've seen my own friend's daughter changed from engineer to because she did her engineer from Bangalore. After going to US, she also completing her MBBS. That means that flexible system is already available. But today's concept in the present scenario, the present education system, it is a bane. After 10 years, once the mindset and also the vision of the parent and the student changes, and students start thinking independently other than the parent interference, most probably that time it may be a boon. And government has to bring a lot of reforms into cover up the loss in the classes and how to make the bridge courses, all those things to be done by the universities or the decision makers.
All right, sir. That's a nice opinion, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, so you were talking about the local and global context, sir. So how important is it to maintain a balance between the local and global context as recommended by NEP, sir?
See, local content in the form of, say, for example, a certain economy related to the state where he or she is staying, they should know. Similarly, Indian context, they should be in a position to know. Because today we are living in a globalized world. So hence, unless until we understand the local context as well as a global context, it's very difficult to understand if somebody wanted to become an entrepreneur. They can't just become an entrepreneur just knowing only the local issues or local context related to the business. They should be in a position to understand in global way also. Hence, local and global is important and when you say it is a multidisciplinary, if the students learn about international business or international trade or international finance, they should have the knowledge of global context also. They should be in a position to understand the culture of the other countries. They should be in a position to understand for example, we have borrowed certain things from the globe. For example, the model which I mentioned in my opening remarks, learning to know, learning to be. These aspects of UNESCO education principles we are borrowing. Then only a right policy come out, right students will come out. Those people will become lifelong resources rather than becoming limited reservoirs, knowing about, for example, Telangana economy, Telangana culture. It's only limited reservoir. If they are able to understand local in the form of Indian context and the global in the form of globe context, I think that's going to give a bigger picture to them. And any kind of situations they will be in a position to face. Otherwise, it will not have any value. See, some of the things already in the Indian education system is there. Good institutes are already for local as well as global context. Yeah.
That's true, sir. That is very true. Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, what do you think about this? Will these changes encourage students towards entrepreneurship or no, sir?
Yeah, see, one of the difficulties that we see with the Indian system is that the students are not encouraged to take risks, and the kind of support that is there to convert an idea into a product or a service, the kind of ecosystem that is required to develop the product into a business, the financial support, and the kind of the pieces of the business that you need in the ecosystem, and it is in a very limited way. If you look at the ecosystem in Bangalore, Pune, and some of the cities in some parts of the India, you see that these ecosystems are well developed. That's one part of it. The other is that you see there are some communities and some regions where there are the traditional ecosystems are there which support entrepreneurship. But as as we have moved away from the tradition to the modern world in the last 70 years, the focus has been on getting a degree and getting a job, and because of which there is a very low risk appetite in the students as well as the parents. Now, the moment we start talking about non-traditional, non-conventional degrees, opportunities to study in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, and then combine apprenticeship or internship or entrepreneurship and so on, this is likely to open up the minds of the youth and the parents to take risks, and also whatever other initiatives that are proposed in the NEP and other government policies in terms of setting up these ecosystems may be able to come together and actually deliver. Because the past initiatives in terms of support for incubators and MSME support and so on has not really brought in the kind of changes that we would look for.
That's right, sir. Implementation is the key, as you said. Dr. Vijay Kumar, sir, what do you think about it, sir? Does this encourage students, does the new education policy encourage students to take up entrepreneurship, sir?
Definitely, if you see the new education policy, which is implemented from the school to the higher education level, as in the Collegedunia Committee clearly says that in the school level itself, the technical inputs will be given on entrepreneurship and the skill set and other areas. That is going to, when we expose the student to the higher level, automatically when they come to higher education, the thinking will be entirely different. It is going to help the student to start their own entrepreneurship, become entrepreneurs. That is one of the important aspects in this new education policy.
All right, that's true, sir. Sir, do you think the new education policy will give the students right skills to increase their employability, sir?
That is for me.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, because I am from the fashion sector, whatever the skill set which is being implemented today, many of them become entrepreneurs starting this thing itself. If I'm also from the engineering background, I've seen a lot of students after graduation with 1 year or 2 years of experience, they have become the entrepreneurs. Only thing is to impart the skill set, to build the confidence. The management of the institute and the heads of the institute and the HODs, faculty play an important role. If they act like a just teacher, no student will become entrepreneurs along with the skill set what we have. For example, if you see the efforts made by the National Skill Development Council, how to develop the skill set for students to become entrepreneurs, it is enormous. Therefore, every institute and the management main focus should be to improve the skill set to make the student entrepreneur. At least 10% of students should become entrepreneurs.
All right, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, sir, do you think this new education policy will help students getting placed better or finding jobs easily, sir? Do you think it will impart the skills those are required for that, sir?
I think this the first thing is I gave one best example of Dr. Thomas, who is in the panel, right? Because of the multidisciplinary approach, MBBS doctor doing some degree in ISB, some other things. How today he's transformed himself. This is the best example. In NEP also, if you look at that multidisciplinary approach, today what is happening, if somebody says that he or she is a cook, they only, if that person is from South India, they only say that I know how to cook idli or dosa. Today, the industry needs, corporate sector needs more versatile people. This multidisciplinary approach, multi-skill set, cafeteria approach, whatever that has introduced, definitely students will have multi-skill set. That's definitely is going to help creating a lot of employment opportunities. And hence, this policy will definitely help in creating employability skill set rather.
I have something to add here.
Yes, sir, please.
See, if you look at the proposal, you see that there are two components to that. One is that technical aspect of the learning and the education and knowledge, and then other is the so-called life skills. There are so many dimensions to that, and by focusing on overall life skills along with the technical knowledge, technical subject field-wise knowledge, what is likely to happen is the next generation of students, you will have a higher number of students who like the field that they are in. They are going to choose the field that they are in, and in the process of identifying, which field they want to specialize in, and so on, and with the other initiatives, they are likely to be really, kind of develop into holistic adults who can take charge of their life, who can create jobs, not just join a job, but who can create jobs, who can be good, contributing citizens.
That is true, sir. Very true. Dr. Thomas, I have another question for you, sir. How will an increased focus on research help the colleges, students, or the industry, sir? What do you think about it?
An increased focus on research is very much necessary in our country because though it is so many years since our independence and so much of money has been actually kept aside for research, we are really wondering whether all this so-called research has resulted in much of what is required for the real world day-to-day life. So, in terms of the research thrust that is being given in the new education policy, it's a very, very welcome step. And I'm sure that if everybody who are involved in the education takes it in the right spirit, we will second to none in any of the field. Because as of now, I think the education system in our country has catered to probably the job market, because today India is one of the biggest employers of IT across the globe, which means that we are able to get jobs for all those students who have graduated or who have come through engineering or other various.
Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Vijay Kumar, sir, you have an arts and you run an arts college, arts and creative college. So, do you think an increased focus on research will also help students pursuing arts, sir? Or do you think it's only with medical and engineering students, sir?
No, the title clearly says that Vogue Institute of Art and Design. In the art, this thing, we are running only the design-related institute like fashion, interior designing, animation, and textile designing. In these 4 areas where we are focusing, major contribution for the development will be through research only. For example, if I take the fashion industry today, majority of the innovations which are happening in India or elsewhere through research institute only. Now, Government of India has come out with a lot of incubation center in South India, except Karnataka, unfortunately. When the research atmosphere is created in the institute by the faculty members involving the students, definitely new innovations, instead of research, new innovation will come up, and which is going to support the industry and the entrepreneur sector.
All right, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, sir, what do you think about it, sir?
I think, see, I always believe research as a complement to better teaching. If completely, even the policy also says that the universities can define whether they would like to be research focused or teaching focused. But I strongly believe that universities should have both. But they cannot act as substitutes. They should complement each other. If they do better research, otherwise what happens? No, I don't know about the pure science. In social science, largely it is a kind of reinventing the wheel. And because of this publish or perish models, we are not getting proper research. We have been seeing in so many newspapers. You take the example of Bale's list. How many journals have been blacklisted? So that's the reason why I told in my opening remarks, what kind of research? In social science, they have to define. And pure science, of course, as Vijay Kumar sir mentioned, innovations will be more in case of the pure sciences, whether the physics or chemistry or engineering, whatever. Once it comes to social sciences, it's only the model of publish or perish is creating a lot of problem. For promotion purpose, for accreditation purpose, just we are publishing. We are not bothered whether it is useful to the society or not. So they have to define, they have to recognize the research in such a fashion that if that research produces a better transformation of knowledge among student population or otherwise society, I think research will not have any value. Focusing on research is good. It's a good fund, but a bad master if you make it as publish or a perish model. That's my opinion on research.
Thank you so much. Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes,
does the government step towards making all colleges autonomous, either in form of becoming an autonomous degree-granting institution or a constituent college of a university, be beneficial for higher education institutes, sir?
If you look at the autonomous institutions in the country and the kind of impact that they've had, we have had a good, so far good results, and it is likely to help. So if you look at the statement, light but tight regulation. So we need to look at set standards clearly demarcate a hierarchy of competencies and contributions, and at the same time give autonomy to the individual faculty, individual department, and the college and the university to kind of fine-tune the curriculum, the courses, the teaching methodology, and so on. So it will help in the long run, and but it has to be supported by a proper accreditation process.
All right, sir. Dr. Thomas, sir, your opinion on this, sir?
Yes, definitely the future of individual colleges which are going to have more autonomy and more freedom to set their syllabus and actually choose what kind of subjects to be taught will help the institutions as well as the students who are actually trying to gain knowledge, because today it is like they go to the college to get a degree. Most of them are not going to get real knowledge, and I think that by giving flexibility to the institutions, by autonomy, the institutions will be able to actually figure out what is required in the industry at every probably every 6 months. Things are changing nowadays. It is so fast, and the universities really will be able to take decisions in a slower manner. So if autonomy is given, I'm sure that all these things will be incorporated into the new syllabus, and as they come out, they'll probably be more employable than it is right now, because as everybody is aware, most of the students who come out of educational institutions today are not employable. That is what the industry complains. So I hope this will take care of that part of the complaint from industries.
Well said, sir. Sir, Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, I have a question for you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Will the common entrance test help institutes in simplifying the admission process, or do you think it will dilute the standards of different institutes that might have a set of standards?
See, we don't need to depend on any individual opinion. We have to just look at the the kind of best practices that are there, and we see that whether it is at the undergrad level or postgrad level, having a standardized exams has benefited in terms of less resources required for the admissions process across the universities. At the same time, if you look at the admissions in the global level, each university they kind of develop their own ways of identifying the right candidate who would fit into their requirements. But in India, the stress associated with entrance exam, and I'm sorry to bring it in this kind of a forum, but the news that we hear once the exam results are announced, 12th results are announced, or the entrance exam results are announced, emotional breakdowns, suicide attempts, and so on, this is a major issue that we as a society and we as educators, we need to focus on. And this common entrance exam will help reducing the stress, the anxiety, and different universities and autonomous colleges in different states, they need to develop their own way of adding on to the entrance exam, and so that they can choose the right candidate who will fit the requirements.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Vijay Kumar, what do you think about this? Do you think it will dilute the standards that each institute might have, or is it beneficial having a common entrance test, sir?
See, common entrance test, other than the professional courses today, it may be a negative impact on the education institutions. Reason is very simple. The present scenario, what has happened, till we reach the standards of education because of the new education policy 10 years, with a common entrance, what will happen? Those who are already in the top, they try to get the major benefit of the students. Those who are in the borderline, definitely the students and the parent mentality is not to join. The marketing, this thing will go up very seriously, and which is till we take out till we increase the capacity of the individual institutions to a level where NAC are trying to build their own methods to evaluate the system. Till that period, common entrance test is going to have an impact on the present general institutions which are offering art and science college. It is not for the, definitely the same thing can be seen in the professional colleges engineering and medical, how the admissions are happening. Same pattern comes here, and also it looks to be very difficult from the point of conducting the common entrance because of the number of students who are opting for the general degree courses. It is running in terms of lakhs. Handling becomes so difficult. That's why for next 5-6 years, this common entrance test can be avoided till all the institutions come to at 4 level.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, as an institute that has its own exam, and you've been doing it for a long time, what do you think, sir? From an institute point of view, do you think the common entrance test would be beneficial, or would it be a benefit, sir?
See, at present, even Dr. Vijay Kumar told in his comments, as well as Dr. Jeyavelu sir has mentioned, see, unless until that integration between primary, secondary, tertiary education is established over a period of time, very difficult to have common entrance test. Why? Because one side policy is talking about you can claim yourself as a research institute. Other side is talking, it says you can claim yourself as a teaching institute kind of thing. If you go for the common, what Jeyavelu sir mentioned about the optimal utilization of resources, all these things are excellent. But ultimately, the vision mission statement of universities will be different from one university to another university. If we go for the common interest, it definitely is going to dilute. So hence, as Vijay sir mentioned, it has to take minimum 5 to 6 years. First, the people have to digest. Where is this particular policy? The success of this policy depends on integration of primary, secondary, and tertiary education. Unless that is fulfilled, it will be very difficult to implement this particular policy, and the common entrance test also become a difficult task. But at present, going for individual entrance tests, they try to conduct the examinations looking where we should statement. That will apt at present scenario. Future, definitely, whatever Jeyavelu sir mentioned and Vijay Kumar sir mentioned, this will be apt, provided that integration has to take place.
All right, sir. Dr. Thomas, sir, would you like to say something about this, sir?
Yes, I think that as rightly by Dr. Venkata, the beginning years there may be difficulties, and as the years go by, people will start digesting it, they will start understanding it, and then I think maybe after a couple of years it will be really good for the nation as a whole, and also for students and also for colleges. And so I think it is a good proposal. And for everything that we have to start from scratch, there is always difficulty. So I think let's go and await the good result.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another very huge change is with the regulatory system, sir. So, the new regulatory system will probably have only one body which will regulate all the education institutions, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, what do you think about this, sir? Would it be beneficial, or do you think the old regulatory system was actually good?
I think one regulatory system is better for, and the methodology also should be, there is one methodology. Every regulatory body comes and they will have their own methodology. Now, at least if they come up with only one unit of command by only one regulatory body, people can understand. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Some regulatory body asks for Scopus index, some regulatory body asks for ABDC index, all kinds of. See, we should have, in fact, the model of accreditation, everything, regulations should be a globe. I always believe in GTRF, Global Teaching Research Forum. If the globe is in a position to come up with this model, then what happens is regulation also, because we talk one side global, other side each country has its own regulatory bodies. So we should have one regulation body, only one regulation. India is moving towards that kind of thing. Hence what happens, so understanding the process and submitting the document becomes easy.
That's true, sir. Right. Dr. Vijay Kumar, what do you think about this, sir, having a single regulatory body?
See, as of now, multiple regulatory body has been converted to single regulatory body. As the government very clearly stated that they are going to have branches of different regulatory body to manage the different institutions. We have to wait for the complete action plan of the government of India to control different institutions. Otherwise, its individual regular body cannot control the whole education system in India. Therefore, they may be giving different options to control individual regular bodies. That's what they highlighted. I seen in the Prime Minister's speech also. We have to wait for some more time to understand how these regulatory bodies reframed into different small regulatory bodies control different bodies of the education system in India.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, what do you think about this, sir? Being from a management perspective.
Like Dr. Vijay Kumar said, I think it's the details that you have to wait for. You might have one body, but then if it is going to have different departments, so we are back to the same old story. So we'll have to wait for the details.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what do you think about the mentoring mission, sir, of the new NEP?
Is this for me?
Sir, this is open for anyone, sir. The mentoring mission of new education policy, sir. All right. So I'll actually move on to the next question.
Yes.
So the most important question, sir, how do you think the implementation of this policy will be, sir? Will it be very difficult? Will it be impossible? Or do you think it will be implemented over a period of time, sir? So this question is open for all of you. So you can talk.
I think the implementation is, it happens well only if proper training and development takes place among faculty members. First, the academicians have to understand one thing in your policy. They took the feedback of every most democratic way they could collect from all. I always coin it as academic agents, like trustees, students, faculty members, industry executives, parents, and leaders. They took the feedback and framed this particular policy. But only thing is, the faculty members should be trained to implement. See, whatever the policy so far that has come, they are good, but most of the cases have failed. Why? Because the haves and have-nots problem may arise. How they are going to deal this particular issue in the process of implementing. And sir has also mentioned, sometimes it may go for only the policy may lead to the rich people only. Once it comes to the implementation, rich students may go. So this implementation bottlenecks will be there. But once the entire thing is digested properly, that integration and everything takes place, it becomes easy to implement.
All right, sir.
There will be some bottlenecks.
Yes, sir. Dr. Thomas, what do you think, sir? What kind of roadblocks or challenges do you see in the implementation of the new NEP, sir?
Yes, very rightly said by Dr. Seshaiah that we have policies for everything, right from education to construction to banking to stock market. But the problem in all this is how they are being implemented. We have, I think, world-class policies in most of the sectors that we deal in, and the government has been able to have good policies. But our basic failure, I suppose, is in implementation. And so, as rightly said by all the analysts, we have to wait and see how we are able to implement these things in the right. And if it definitely, this is one of the very good policies that can happen for our country. And I'm sure that in the course of time, that the stakeholders will get an understanding of it, and slowly but we will be able to reach a totally different dimension in education in the next 1 or 2 decades that we are looking at.
That's true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is true. Dr. Jeyavelu, so what do you think about it, sir? What can the government do to implement this in a better way and a perfect way, sir?
See, if you look at the total policy, there is a certain centralization that is happening, and education has been in the concurrent list. And if you look at the role of the state, it's not that pronounced. One, second, the focus. If you look at bringing a child at the age of 3 into the kind of a structured education, whereas the world over we are looking at increasing the age at which the child gets into formal education. So there is a certain a highly centralized kind of motive behind the whole policy here, and unless the care is taken so that a lot of autonomy at the state level, at the different fields level and so on is provided, and there is a need for a lot of coordination, a lot of information sharing and so on with different stakeholders. So it is going to be a big task. Again, it's going to be a gigantic task, and what is required is involvement of stakeholders at multiple levels.
Dr. Vijay, what do you think of what would be the key to implementing the new NEP? So,
if you when we gone through the new education policy, the commission itself has recommended that the new education policy minimum is required 10 to 15 years to implement in India, specifically in higher education. India being the diversified country, sitting at metro, definitely it is there won't be much problem to implement things. Being India diversified country, we have tier 2 city, tier 3 city, and rural sector. Whatever the education policy, whether those people can implement, they can come to the level of the metro city, because the policy remains same across the country. And also yesterday, when Secretary Higher Education, from yesterday itself, I think as per recommendation of the name of the Higher Education Ministry has been changed. This President of India has approved that. He clearly says that it is a Herculean task to implement the new education policy across the country because of the demography of the country and because of this thing. Definitely, it is a challenging task for the university or the government or the implementing agency to reach everybody, to bring a uniformity across the thing. They find it easy to implement in the metro cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, or Delhi or thing, but implementing uniformly in the other cities like Tier 2, Tier 3 city and rural sector is going to be a major problem for the implementers.
That's right, sir. That's right. Thank you so much, sir. So we have a couple of poll questions as well. Will the flexibility of multiple entry and exit points in the undergraduate programs have a positive impact or the negative impact? So most of the students have said that it will definitely have a positive impact. So I would like to know what the panelists think about it.
It's a good sign actually for the student. From the management point of view, we have some difficulties actually. It is a system already we are discussing on this from last 5-6 years. Structural system of education where only certain universities allowed certain institutions to implement. When it comes to the private institution, the management will think in a different way, because the student who have taken the admission for a graduation immediately reduce after 2 years. The economy will not work out, budget will not work out. These are challenges which management is going to face. For a student point of view, because of credit banking system, after 2 years he can come and do the course in any of the college, because he has got the credits in his bank, or he can go abroad and do the course. That is the advantage student has got, but it has got its own negative impact on the management to run the institute.
That is right. So I think it's a very big disadvantage for the colleges. So it's a good thing for the students. Dr. Seshaiah?
As Vijay Kumar sir mentioned,
yes,
it's very good for students' point of view. I think the institute will learn, especially the private institute learn over a period of time on various pricing strategies. If you exit, this is the thing, first year exit, second year exit, third year complete degree kind of thing. Over a period of time, they may come up with that kind of different pricing strategies. Then it will become good for management also. It's not only the students, definitely they will come. Otherwise, how they will survive? In economics, there is a concept called second degree price discrimination. charging different people for different prices. So first year, if somebody would like to exit some price, second year some price, third year some price, but for the entire degree, people will come up. I think about then in that situation, both management as well as students will be benefited, and it will be a positive impact on both sides.
That is true, sir. Anyway, it will take at least like 10 to 15 years before we.
Simply, I don't think in India people will just leave after completing first year. Right? Maybe this may happen in case of the engineering courses. Yep. Like we have ITI, we have a diploma, polytechnical diploma, then engineering kind of thing. But in case of the social sciences like BCom, what certificate you can give? Once the fellow has moved from first year, BSc Maths, what certificate you can give? We have to come up with some innovative kind of thing. Even they study 1 year in the system, the employability skill set should be developed. Hence, the demand for that 1 year course in any degree also will have a value. Because people will come up with a new way of introducing the curriculum, as well as pricing strategies may come up.
Absolutely, sir. So one size fits all approach might not work here.
Yeah.
That's right. Dr. Vijay Kumar, sir, I have a question for you. Sir, can online education prove to be an effective alternative to traditional learning in the future, sir? Now that it has already started and we don't know how long this might last. So do you think it will be an effective alternative, sir?
When it comes to the technical programs, it is not an effective alternative. When it comes to general subject, definitely it can be 50%, it cannot be 100%. The traditional one-to-one interaction with the student and the teacher is the most effective way of conducting any this thing where student can interact or with thing. But when it comes to, I happen to understand the recent this thing, COVID-19, where we had a lot of problem with online classes. And also when we had a discussion with the Vice-Chancellor, many of the parents highlighted that our children could not attend the webinars or the classes because of the internet connectivity. That is a major problem in a different rural sector. That's why that is one of the points. Second point is actually when it comes to online classes, particularly for design-related things, it cannot be 100% possible to have these classes, online classes for the design-related thing, for animation or textile designing or fashion designing. We require a face-to-face mode of interaction than the online classes.
That's right, sir. That's right. Dr. Thomas, as someone who runs all sorts of institutes like into science, arts, everything, what do you think about this multiple entry and exit points, from a student point of view and also from a college point of view?
Multiple entry and exit points are very good because I think we know that there are a lot of students who drop out in between, and then if they have studied for 2 years, that 2 years of studies were going to be a waste. Now that the new system is there, they can either come back for studies after taking a break, or they can even go abroad, or they can do with the certification that they already have for the number of years that they have been in the college. So I think that's very good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dr. Jeyavelu, so your opinions. I actually have two questions for you, sir. One is, what do you think about the multiple exit and entry points? And another thing is, now that it has already started, what do you think about the online education? So can it be an effective alternative to traditional learning environment?
See, this multiple entry and exit points, like other panelists have already said, the resource optimization is going to be a major issue. And the current structure in colleges and universities, we have a very rigid structure in terms of employment and the workload and so on. So it's going to be a logistics nightmare if we implement this in a hurry without thinking through the various logistics and resource utilization issues. But from the students' perspective, this is really going to benefit those students. I mean, we see many students saying, okay, I've completed 2 years, just some more finish 2 more years and then get the degree and do whatever I want to do. Or I joined because my parents have forced me, what do I do? So there are a lot of these issues, but then the numbers are less. So from the student's perspective, it might be good, but from the university and college perspectives, it's going to be a logistics and resource utilization nightmare. So we have to find, design new processes, design new systems which will kind of take this into account. On the other side, if you're looking at the online education, one thing is very clear. Online education is here to stay. One. Second, online education is not for all subjects at all levels for everybody. So online education can kind of provide a certain opportunity for people who may not have the opportunity. On the other hand, today, if you look at it, the education, so when a teenager comes into a college, it's not that just the subject that he or she is studying. So it's a total package. This working and studying and living and interacting with the peers for those 3 years or 4 years is a major. I mean, because we don't have alternatives to college education for youth to prepare themselves for the adult life. So you look at, after the school, like they are totally protected. And then once they finish the schooling, what happens to them? So only in the college they learn how to, much more, intense in terms of how do they manage relationships, how do they manage time, how do they make choices. And there are so many things which they learn. It's not just about the subject matter. So if you look at universities are not going to go away, but on the other hand, everybody, standalone colleges to universities, we have to leverage the potential of online programs and courses. So it is possible to have one world-class faculty, teach thousands of students, and that kind of potential is there with the technology. So it is possible for us to use that. And then one more, I'd like to highlight one important distinction here. When you talk about online education, there are so many different models. So we have these new models which are based on recorded videos and automated evaluation to synchronous models. Like for example, IIM Kozhikode does a program, EMBA program on where the candidates can sit in a local place and then attend the classes. So synchronous to asynchronous to assessed by human to automated assessments. There are many options that are available, and if we have kind of achieve the gross enrollment ratio that the NEP 2020 has set as a target, we need to leverage technology, and we need to look at multiple models of leveraging technology, online education, and so on. So it is, online education is here to stay, and all levels and all fields and all the departments have to kind of try and integrate it in the regular stream and come up with alternate models which achieve the national objectives in terms of gross enrollment ratio.
Thank you so much, sir. It's almost a closing time, so can we have closing remarks of all of you, sir? Starting with Dr. Vijay Kumar. Closing remarks about the topic, sir.
New education policy is one of the important decisions taken by Government of India under the leadership of the present Prime Minister. Most interesting point is actually they try to bring the Indian education system at par with the international education system. Therefore, Indian students' quality and the level of the teachers also increases, and the management responsibility has also gone up in this new education policy. It really says that if you don't maintain the quality, there's no place for all of us. Because of that, the complete stakeholders, not only the students and the staff and the management, have to work for the sustainability of the institute. Otherwise, our place in the education system will not be there. And the most important thing is actually the implementation of this. All of us join together and we support both state government and universities and the government of India to implement this in a befitting manner. Therefore, our education level goes up and quality of our students also goes up, and is going to help with the development of the country.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Seshaiah, sir, your closing remarks for today, sir.
Yeah, I think the topic which you have chosen for discussion is excellent. And as I mentioned, this policy definitely is going to build modern universities by integrating teaching, research, institutional development, community development, and knowledge sharing. Only issues that may arise in terms of training the faculty members, number one. Number two, what courses should be on online? You can't learn how to do surgery through online. These MBBS students, see which program should be run online. Even some of the engineering courses is very difficult to teach through online, as well as some designing courses. The government of India has to come up with certain models. These programs can be run through online kind of thing. And it's very difficult. Even in management courses also, some of the subject is very difficult. Another issue we have to keep in mind, students will have objectives, emotions, feelings, goals. Through online, we cannot fulfill. As Jeyavelu sir mentioned, other panel members also mentioned, campus life is campus life, especially the fresh people. The students who have just completed intermediate or degree, when they join in the universities, they will be in a position to understand the psychology of the peer group. They will learn how to live. These are all the various aspects. If we introduce this particular online courses completely for the fresh people, I think it's going to be a difficult task. For example, recently some study says that in MBA program, for some programs, whatever India runs, 74% of the people are fresh students only, just graduated and joined for MBA programs. These people will not be in a position to know each other, number one. At one side, we say life skills we have to develop. One side, we say soft skills we have to develop. It's very difficult through online. They have to meet together. They should understand each other. They should understand the psychology, and networking takes place. So, the government of India has to come up with a model. All online programs should be for the people who have worked 2 years or 3 years in the organization. As Jeyavelu sir mentioned, they must have not got an opportunity to do the higher education. For those people who should provide this particular online platform. Why? Because at certain states, they must have had understanding the psychology of the people. So hence, though the policy is excellent, these things also should be taken care of. Then what happens? So success of policy depends on these objectives of the goals of the emotions of the feelings of the students is fulfilled. I think the policy will be the excellent. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Absolutely, sir. Dr. Jeyavelu, sir, your closing remarks.
Yeah, it's nice and to be a part of this panel, and I kind of learned a few things and a few new viewpoints on this issue with these esteemed panel members. I think the government has taken a stand in saying that let us try and do something better with our education system. So for a long time we have been cribbing about what's been going on at the different levels in the education, from schooling to universities and so on. So at least now the government has taken a stand and created a policy, including the feedback from various stakeholders and so on, which is in a way giving hope for us educators and the country as a whole. The issues that we are going to face is in terms of how do we take this broad policy into implementable details at the state level, at the level of each of these specializations like engineering, medicine, management, maybe professional education like accounting or design and so on. So those details are what is going to make this policy a success. So we will wait and watch for the details to emerge from the government.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you, Dr. Seshaiah, Vijay Kumar, and Dr. Jeyavelu. It was pleasure having you all, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Dr. Seshaiah. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, and thank you, Collegedunia, for this.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. We stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, too. Thank you, sir.